What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's daily devotional, man, and we are going through the book of John. We are in John chapter 13, verse 33, and this is Trust in Jesus Ministries. So hopefully as we're reading through this book of John, this daily devotional, man, it's helping you to grow in your trust in him because we're knowing him more. That's the deal, man. The more you know someone doesn't necessarily mean the more you trust them, but the character of God, because of who he is, his nature, what he does, what he's shown us, as we begin to know him more, then we begin to trust him more. So I hope that you checked out John chapter 13, verse 13. If you haven't, then go ahead and just stop the tape, see what it has to say, come back, and then let's answer these questions, man. If you have read it, then let's go ahead and jump in, man. Let's dive into the scriptures. What's the scriptures have to say? For the first question we ask always in these sessions, man, to help you understand and to know how to read through the scriptures is what's actually going on. What's occurring in the scriptures? Was Jesus, after talking about his glorification, the time coming. And so last episode, I believe I talked about what glorification means, which is his death. That means he's about to die and he's going to go back with the Father and be in the bliss and the beauty and the wonder in the bosom of the Father. And one of the reasons that I can say that is because as he speaks about this glorification, he says, now is the time for me to be glorified. Now is the time that the Son of Man will be glorified. He goes and he says, little children, I will be with you for a little longer. And he says, and you'll seek me, but you won't be able to find me. Just as like I told the Jews, man, he's like, where I'm going, you're not able to go. So as he speaks about that glorification, he talks about his departure. And so the way in which he departs, we all know, is his death. It's his death on the cross. And so when he says this, because they're going to be sad, they're going to be brokenhearted, they're going to be troubled at the death of Jesus. And because of that, he wants to comfort them. Jesus is the God of all comfort. Jesus is the God who meets us where we are and sympathizes and empathizes with us because he knows our plights. He knows where we are. And so he knows that these disciples that follow him and love him and whom he also loves with a great and mighty and a dear love are going to be broken and sad about his death. This glorification that needs to happen so that they can be saved and brought into the kingdom of God, to the fold of his house. This has to happen. And because he knows that and the way that they're going to feel during this period, he comforts them. He comforts them. We could talk a little about where you're going, you're not able to go, just as he has spoken to the Jews, except it's going to be a little bit different. And when I say Jews, if you haven't followed along with us, and this is your first episode, I mean the ruling elite, the people who are in positions of power in Judaism, who dictate and mandate to the people these laws that have been written down for them. And then they add more to it to say that they want to follow the laws better. And so they're creating a space that is actually counterproductive because now they're looking to the law to save rather than the one in whom represents the law. But that's what John speaks about when he says the Jews. And so it's a sad thing that he has to say the same thing to the disciples. In one way, that puts them on the same footing. One way that shows us all that we're all the same. Doesn't matter who we are. We can't do the thing that Jesus is going to do, which is save the world. And then if we put it in us, we can't save ourselves. So the thing that Jesus is going to do is save us. We can't do ourselves. The Jews couldn't do it. The ruling elite, the power, the way they walked, no matter how perfect in the law they did, they can't save themselves. And then even the disciples who follow and serve and love the Lord, they can't do it themselves. It's impossible. It must be only done by the power of Jesus. It is only done by the glorification of Jesus with his death on the cross and his resurrection from the dead. That is the only way in which salvation can be achieved. But he knows that it's going to sadden them as he does this. His departure from this world, and not only the departure from this world, but the way in which he has departed, the way in which he has to leave to go to the Father. That is what is most excruciating as well. And then something that they don't even realize, though, is the weight and the depth of what Jesus has to endure, because it's not only a physical death that is excruciating, but it is also a spiritual and mental taxation because of the sin of the world being placed upon him. The sin of the world weighing upon his soul. So what is this saying about God? I think it says that God cares deeply about our well-being, our mental health, our spiritual health. He cares deeply about these things. This is not something that he just puts to the side. He wants us to be wholly, completely, like our entire being. He wants that from us. And he wants it to be like his. He wants it to be good. And then second, his returning to the Father is the glory. He's going back to the Father, and he does it so that we might have we might be with him, that we might be sons of God. We might be adopted. We might be children of God. That's amazing. What does this say about man? Well, we can't save ourselves and we can't save nobody else. It is all under the power of Jesus. It is all under the power of the Father. It is all by the wooing of the Spirit. It is not us. And so let's take that to heart, even when God has called us to do things, because he has told us to go and spread the word, to make known his wonders so that people can hear and glorify his name. But it is not us who is going to save them. So when we feel as if we failed, we haven't failed at all. And I'm speaking this to myself as well, because it is very difficult sometimes to go about preaching the gospel. And it, like Isaiah says, till cities are ruined. That means nobody's coming to know him. Nobody's turning or repenting through our word. And that is a difficult thing to think, that the words that I speak, the actions that I do, even though it's what God is saying, is failing. That's what it feels like sometimes. But it must be remembered, it must be known that it is the Father, the Spirit, and Jesus who saves, not me. So as I do as he's called me to do, then I'm not failing. I'm actually succeeding, because I am following the will and the desire of Yahweh. So how do we apply these truths to our lives? Look at your life. Where are you trying to save yourself? Where are you trying to save yourself? Where are you trying to put yourself ahead of the one who does the actual saving? Are you trying to muster up the power on your own to achieve the things you feel like you got to get? Or are you placing them in the hands of the one who is trustworthy? Are you placing them in the hands of the one who's trustworthy? And then, exactly as I just spoke earlier about man, is apply the truth to the fact that as you witness and you share the gospel, that you are being obedient to what he has to say. And it is the Spirit of God who will do all of the rest. And may that bring comfort and hope to you as you try to witness, encourage you and strengthen you in boldness to witness. I appreciate you guys for listening. And man, let's remember that we can go to God because he loves and cares for us. He wants to console and hold us forever. See you guys in the next episode.